So, here's some more. This is all just from that's just from yesterday. They know they're on camera. So now I would challenge anybody to watch that video and tell me that it's just a few bad apples and that it isn't a culture of out of control, brutal maniacs. I would love to have someone debate that video. And they're trained to do that. They're not trained to protect you. They're trained to beat the fuck out of you and protect themselves. Because the cop's number one job is to make sure he comes home at night, which is not supposed to be his job. That's what cops say their job is. Their job is supposed to be to make sure I come home safe at night. They're supposed to put themselves in between me and danger. They're not supposed to be the danger, but they are in America, which is why we got to get rid of all the police departments and start over. So here's the officer. So Janya Zayer, if that's how you say her name, she says, this is the officer. He threw my phone before throwing me. As you can see, I was already backing up. All I asked was why. Watch this. So you see him coming. That's him here. And that is a guy in a white shirt, which means he's a sergeant or a lieutenant. He's the boss.
You gotta get out of the street. Get out of the street.
He goes, I don't know if you saw right at the end. He goes, you got to get out of the street, get out of the street. And she goes, why? And he just hits her phone out of her hand. That's what happened right at the end there. He just hits her phone right out of her hand.
You got to get out of the street.
So at the end, he hit her phone. You can't see it. Here's what happened next. Now, this video is sideways. I'll show you a better video. But what? So that's the guy who did that. He's a real coward. But here's another video of it. So he's going to come in from right here and just push her.
God.
Did you see that?
With the ranking official beside him.
Right behind him. So his boss sees what he's doing. And what does that tell you? That tells you they do this shit all the time. He has no fear of any repercussion, and his bosses approve of him doing this to a 100-pound girl.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. The reason why we're having all these protests is
because of police violence. And cops respond with what? Police violence. Why? Because cops are out of control, brutal maniacs who are recruited that way and then trained to be even worse. And that guy came right from the battlefield. The guy who did this came right. You should not allow military people to become policemen. That should be a rule. That should be a rule. People, if you served in the military, you're not allowed to be a policeman. Because those are two different mindsets. And you see why? Why? I'm going to guess this guy his dick is about as big as my thumb also, by the way. Because what other kind of guy needs to be that steroided out? By the way, he's steroided out. Watch this. So here he goes.
Hey!
On her head.
Get his badge number! Get his badge number!
Now, why is it that every other person around there immediately knows there was something wrong with her, they have to take care of her, and that cop should be in trouble, except any of the other cops? Can you point to me where the good cop is there? Again, there's got to be 50 cops walking down that street. Where is the good cop? There isn't one. There are no good cops. Now, if you want to know what happened to her, she had a seizure on her way to the hospital. That's what happened to her. She hit her head on concrete.
Because she was thrown.
It's 90 because she was thrown. I don't know if you saw how she was thrown, but I'll show it to you again. That's a 300-pound, muscled-up, steroided, fucking thumb-dicked cocksucker violently assaulting a woman. And who is that guy? That guy. That's him. And he's got a torture collar on his dog. This guy's fucking fucked up. And he's a cop. This guy's fucked up. And he's a cop. Do they have a psychological exam? Yes. And if you're fucked up, they let you in. By the way, if you're too smart or show compassion, they get rid of you. They like obedient maniacs who are hopped up on steroids, who like to torture people. That's who fucking cops are. How many more videos do you need to see? And there they all go. There they go. They're a gang.
Look at them marching down the street.
They're a gang of they're a gang. That's how you would expect a gang member of the Crips or the Bloods to handle a woman who got in their face. That's how the NYP, New York's finest. They go through neighborhoods beating the shit out of women, cracking their heads on the ground, causing them concussions. That's who this guy is. That's who cops are. And who's his supervisor who's right there? Doesn't do a goddamn thing. So again, this is who this guy is, Vincent D'Andrea. And he's worked at the New York City's mayor's office. He worked at the U.S. Marine Corps. Bad idea to hire them as cops. Do you see what happens? Do you see this guy's been trying to make up for his thumb dick his entire life? Studied at United States Marine Corps. Went to Ward Melville High School. Lives in New York, New York. From Stony Brook, New York.
It's weird when people don't add, like, I'm an asshole in those bylines, right? They just should. He knows he is. He's proud he's an asshole, by the way.
That's him, D'Andrea. Officer D'Andrea from the 73rd Precinct violently shoved a protest. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I want to know the name of the supervisor.
Where's the supervisor?
He's right there.
You know what? I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. What happened to these people who did this stuff to occupy people is they got vacation days taken away.
Oh, and the city has to pay for the lawsuits.
That's right. So if I did that to him, if I was walking down the street and I pushed him hard enough where he tripped and hit his head and had a concussion, do you think they would take a vacation day away from me? And so now if you witness that, are you supposed to go beat the fucking shit out of that cop? Because that's what the cop would do to you if you did it to him. Again, there's video after video after video just from yesterday. People protesting about police violence, and police are so out of control maniacs that they commit violence on them during a protest about police violence. So I'll show you some more. Watch this. This was in, I think, Atlanta. That's what you would expect a gang member to do. That's what you would expect a member of, like, a criminal or like a robber or a thug or a guy in the mafia. That's how you would expect a guy in the Crips to handle this situation. No, that's a guy. You're trained to do that? You're trained to do that? He's trained. This is a woman. 3 cops. You can't restrain a woman? So the people would say, well, Jimmy, she hit the cop. What are they supposed to do? Well, right there, he's supposed to restrain her. Do you see that?
They're supposed to learn how to de-escalate.
So what he's supposed to do is restrain her and arrest her.
There are 3 men around her.
He's supposed to restrain her and arrest her. That's his duty. His duty is to restrain her and arrest her, not fucking escalate the violence, which is what he does. He escalates the violence and sucker punches a woman from behind. He could have easily just restrained her. And he didn't. In fact, he's such a pussy, he can't even restrain her. He tries to restrain her, and she easily gets away. What a pussy this guy is. Watch this. See, are you afraid of her? He's afraid of her. He is afraid to... Why can't he restrain this woman? And then he cold cocks her. And he winds up, too. And again, completely disregards her.
Oh, this is the first time I saw this.
And her head hits the ground. And he doesn't give a shit. And then people come out, what the fuck are you doing? People are like, and now they're afraid because they know if they actually try to help that woman, those cops will probably kill him.
Yes.
They will probably, look what they just did to her. You don't think they're going to shoot you? All those cops should be in jail.
They all get pensions, right?
They're all going to get pensions. Nobody's going to pay a price for that. Nobody. That's not how a cop's supposed to handle that situation. You have a woman slapping you, and you have to come up from behind her and cold cock her like a coward. Anderson Cooper will never call the cops out. That's why they're attacking the fucking CNN. That's one of the reasons.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie, I'm about to get out the car, yo.
And now he's got his hand on his gun, and he's pointing to stay away. I'll fucking shoot you. And this woman's laying cold cocked in the middle of the street. Here's so watch, here's another one. This is all from yesterday. This is all from one fucking day in America.
It was constant.
It was constant. And there's millions more I won't have time to get to. Did you see that? Did you see the cop so the cops are beating on someone. The cops all just swarmed. Cops show up. They cause violence. Violence starts happening. Cops swarm on one guy, start pounding on him. And then another guy comes up, and there's a guy standing there, and he just rips him, throws him into a fucking car and bashes his head. Watch this. So this guy grabs him and just throws him. And that guy is out. And that cop doesn't even go over to him. That guy is out.
You hear it.
You hear his head hit. And that cop, what does he do? He turns around. I don't give a fuck. He wants to go back to beating on this guy. All the cops are here. I'll show you. Here's a better video of it. So something's all the cops start going maniac because they start beating up someone over here. See, they really want to beat and they start beating the fuck out of some guy. And did you hear the guy yelling to the cops, "What the fuck are you doing? Get off of him. What the fuck are you doing?" Well, I'll tell you what they're doing. They're delivering a beating to someone because they're on steroids and they've been trained to do this, and they joined so they could do this. That's what they like doing. Did you hear that? You could hear it. And as the guy's screaming, "What the fuck are you doing? Get off of him." They're beating the shit out of someone.
You know, there's a whole generation that do not recall Rodney King.
I know. This has been going on forever, since the drug war started. So they're still beating on someone while this guy lays unconscious. They just threw him like a rag doll. They threw him into a cop car, and so the cop whose car it is comes over to check on him. "Hey, what happened to this guy who's passed out in front of my car? Did he get his head beaten in?" "Yeah." And the people are like, "What the fuck are you doing?" The cops came into their neighborhood and caused a riot. Can you imagine if you looked out your front door and you saw cops throwing people around, hitting them with clubs, breaking shit? That's what the cops are doing. And again, this is my favorite video of the day. Watch this.
You know, Jimmy, 4 years ago, we went to the conventions.
And we were in Cleveland at the convention, and cops were doing that shit.
And it was they have this organization that they had, and they would use their bikes as kind of a fence.
No, as a weapon.
Yes, and to move the crowd.
Yeah.
It was all
they had to do was ask people to back up, and we would have. Instead, they just got, all of a sudden, they just go, boom, all in unison. And you're like, oh my God, you guys. You guys are such pussy cowards.
And then
most cops are cowards.
Let's
be honest.
We were in Portland, and I didn't want us to go to the protest.
I went to the protest.
I didn't want to go to the protest because I didn't trust
the
cops. The protesters.
I wasn't worried about Antifa or the right wingers or the guy with the guns with the American flag. I wasn't worried about those guys. I was worried about the cops, and I was right because the cops fucking hit me.
And you were wearing a suit coat.
I'm wearing a suit coat. We're in a suit coat. I'm a white guy with a suit coat, and the fucking cop still hit me.
Wait a minute, and you were on the sidewalk.
And I was on the sidewalk. The cop wanted to get by. Cops are fucking maniacs, man. Again, I don't know if you know any cops. I know lots of cops. To a person, they love doing this shit. They love it. Smartest guy I went to high school with became a cop. Why? Because he was 5'6" and he got picked on his whole life. He had the highest ATC scores in a fucking Catholic high school. Could have went to any college he wanted to. He became a cop. So he could fuck with people because he was fucked with his whole life. Those are the two kind of people who are cops. People who are bullied and bullies. And now he's a racist maniac with the highest fucking SAT score in the country. And I had to block him on Facebook. They love doing this shit. Don't fucking kid yourself. The days of cops joining to get health insurance are over. Oh, by the way, so here, this is from even in Omaha, Nebraska. So every city, and here's Omaha, Nebraska. It said, this is great. It says, this is a video from Omaha, Nebraska tonight. It is approximately 9 p.m. The protest was planned to end at 9 p.m. with a moment of silence for George Floyd, but it will not end at 9 p.m. because the police have come and instigated with their presence and use of tear gas. You want to see some of the video? Here's some of it. This is in Omaha. Cops are tear gassing people. These are the whitest of white people in the world. Oh, did you see that white woman just walk by and go, pig? The white people are calling the cops pigs in Omaha, Nebraska. That's how bad policing is in America. White women in Omaha, Nebraska are calling the cops pigs. And do you see how they're dressed? Like they're trying to take over Fallujah. They're in Omaha, fucking Nebraska. Do you see how we need to completely get rid of and start over in America with our police forces? Omaha, Nebraska. They're dressed like they're taking over Fallujah, and white women are calling them pigs. Here's my second favorite video. So cops like to just be assholes, right? Because they are. So this guy is filming him, and he wants to get the guy's badge number. You see that? He's filming him. He's a citizen. Wants to get the guy's badge number. So the cop decides, well, I can do whatever I want to you. Because look,
I got other cops around me.
I got tear gas. I got cops around me. I got a gun. I got Kevlar. I got a helmet. And I look like a badass. And I'm feeling strife. I'm feeling like I could almost get an erection again. So that's what that guy's feeling like. And so watch what he does. So he takes the guy's camera and throws it. Right in his face, this guy does that. Because he's got all his buddies around him. So he's a real tough guy now. Because you would never do that to this guy in real life.
And by the way, I'm allowed to know your name and your badge number.
That's right.
I'm allowed to know that.
That's right. So watch what this guy does. You don't see it. The camera goes away for a second. But you can put it together what he does. Watch this. He fucking knocked that cop out. He fucking knocked that cop out. You want to see it again? Fucking knocked that cop out.
Now, you know what I will say is
knocked
interesting?
That fucking cop out.
Did you notice how when a cop is knocked out, then all of a sudden several cops tend to the needs of that cop?
Yeah.
But if you're a citizen...
But if you're a citizen, they don't give a shit. Again,
they're not walking.
They're not there to serve. They're there to hurt you and protect the elite. And so that guy got knocked the fuck out. And maybe that's what you get when you fuck with someone who's a citizen when you're paid to serve them. What do the bootlickers think about this? What do the bootlickers think about that? Is it okay if somebody disrespects you, you can knock them out? It's only the police who can knock out citizens when they get disrespected? So that guy he's assaulting the citizen, taking his property and throwing it out of his hand and throwing it away and breaking it. He's assaulting that guy. That guy responds in kind. How do you think a cop would react if a cop came up to you with the phone and you ripped it out of his hand and threw it? How do you think the cop would react? Want to see it again? Because I do. Bam. Bam. Shit, maybe you shouldn't fuck with people who are 10 times bigger than you for no reason. Maybe you shouldn't be such an asshole, a violent asshole. Maybe you shouldn't start creating violence at this protest. Hey, maybe you should be more responsible. Do you think that's what they're saying to him? That's what I would say.
Hey, are you using your de-escalation training?
Yeah. And that guy who hit him's got fucking balls, man. Because there's cops everywhere. And he's like, no, you can't disrespect me like that, motherfucker. No. Is there anybody on the cop side in the chat? Anybody still defending this piece of shit?
I believe the snowflake bootlickers have gone
left?
away.
Good.
But they're still really sad.
Go watch Crowder or something, or go watch Sean Hannity.
Yeah.
He loves the cops. Go watch those guys. You're all a bunch of bootlicking pussies, and I don't give a fuck if you ever watch my show.
Oh yeah, go away.
Go away.
Go away. You're gross.
And then this guy who pretends he's a protester, actually a cop. So now Fort Wayne, Indiana. I've been to Fort Wayne, Indiana plenty. I've been to Omaha, Nebraska plenty. I've been everywhere. All these cities, I've been to all of them. And I've been to Fort Wayne at least a half a dozen times.
Can I ask you a question before you do
the last thing they need is riot cops in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I don't even know if they have. I think that's the traffic light.
Can you do me a favor and clarify for bootlickers something? So you showed the video earlier of the woman getting out of her car and hitting a cop, and then she was struck by a policeman.
Right. The cop escalated the violence instead of doing what he was supposed to.
So what's the difference between that and the man that just hit the cop? Because the bootlickers don't understand. What's the difference?
Oh, the difference.
It's hard for the bootlickers to figure it out.
The difference is the cops are supposed to be the professional in the situation to serve the public. So if that woman might have a mental problem, that woman might have just been assaulted before. She might be in distress. Who knows what's going on with that woman? But she's not a threat to those policemen. And so what they did was, instead of restraining her and taking care of her, they assaulted her and escalated the violence, which is the exact opposite of what you want. If that was your mother, is that how you want them to handle it? If that was your sister, what if she's having a fucking schizophrenic episode? That's how you want them to handle it? So the difference between that and then this other situation is that cop is the guy in control. The cop was the guy in control. The cop's got all his cop friends. He's the tough guy. He's the guy being paid to be there to serve them. So you see, it's totally different. That woman's a random citizen who might have some problems. This guy's a cop given the authority. So when cops are given the monopoly on violence, do you understand what that means? That they're allowed to, like if you're walking down the street and you see cops hitting someone, you're not going to go, oh my God. You're going to go, well, that guy must have did something. They have been, but if they weren't cops and you saw somebody hitting someone, you would go, oh my God, we got to stop it. We got to do something. Because cops are given the monopoly on violence. They're allowed to use violence. And they're given a gun. And with that comes huge responsibilities. Huge. One of them is you don't assault a guy who's filming you. Another one is you don't instigate violence. That's what those cops were doing. That's what that cop did when he took his phone and threw it. That's the difference. It's not that hard to understand. It's hard to understand if you're embracing your inner racist and you're watching Sean Hannity and you're a fucking bootlicker and you don't understand that cops are fucking criminal assholes. If you don't understand that, go fuck with some cops and see what happens to you.
Thanks for the clarification.
So here's what happened in South Bend. Watch this. South Bend. There's their one traffic light. They're all dressed like they're taking over Fallujah. They've got nothing to worry about. There's nothing happening. But the cops, they have weapons, so they want to use them. They've been giving these weapons like these flashbangs. Oh my God, how much? I wish I had a flashbang. How much fun would that be? I love blowing off fireworks. So watch what they do. Completely peaceful protests. Nobody's doing nothing. Watch this. Broad daylight. Watch this. So do you see what the cops just did? Yeah. Cop just threw a flashbang. Did you see that?
Yep, for
just
entertainment.
Just to entertain themselves, to fuck with people.
From the second line.
So he's throwing. That looks like tear gas. And now, now they're macing people.
Why?
And then that guy. Why is he macing that guy? Why are you They're just assaulting people. There's nothing happening. It's Fort Wayne. Do you see how there's nothing happening? Do you see how nothing is happening? And do you see how the cops are just, they want to feel like badasses because they're a bunch of thumb-dick, steroided up fucking pussies? That's what cops are, man. They're bullies. That's all that is. And none of those cops turn around and go, why are you doing that? You want to see it again? This is fucking South Bend, Indiana. And then they start tear gassing them. There's kids out there and girls with signs, people on scooters, and they start tear gassing them. Kids on scooters. Cops are such cowards.
Sad.
If you're siding with the cops, brutalizing people, you're a bootlicker. And you're a Trumper. A lot of Trumpers are bootlickers. A lot of Obama voters are bootlickers. So, I mean, you see, I showed you.
If you're a bootlicker, we'd like to invite you to open up your critical thinking skills right now and think about humanity.
No, I don't care. Those people need to get the only thing that's going to change their mind is when a cop throws them out of their house, or a cop cracks their head, or a cop sexually assaults their wife or their girlfriend, or a cop shoots them with a rubber bullet, or a cop tear gasses their mother. That's the only thing that's going to change a bootlicker's mind. And even then it might not. Because those are people who are self-loathing also. They like a daddy figure. They like authority. Conservatives in general like daddies and you become a better person by how loyal and subservient you are to authority. That's the mind of a conservative, right? The more loyal and subservient you are and obedient you are to authority, the more moral of a person you are, in a conservative's mind. Now, I'm more of a radical lefty, and I say fuck the police. I say fuck the power. Fuck the establishment. Let's fucking make them scared of us. Whereas conservatives are like, cops should beat the fuck out of you if you actually do things that you like. They're the exact opposite of George Washington. George Washington said, I'm going to get a gun and start shooting some motherfuckers. That was George Washington, and that's how he felt about the government. The people who follow the conservatives today are the opposite of George Washington. They're the people who would still be in subservience to the fucking king of England if it was up to them. Those are bootlickers. And if you're in a protest that is being sanctioned by the police, you're not in a protest. You're in a parade. So it's been nice. I've been watching them go nuts on my Twitter feed.
Oh yeah,
because I pick up a lot of followers because they like that I make fun of the Democratic Party. But they don't realize that I also abhor their fucking ridiculous ideology. Abhor it. You're weak-minded. You're bootlickers, and you're losers. You lost the Civil War. Hey, this is the part where I tell you where our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then I would tell you to go join our premium, but nobody has a fucking job. So why don't you just enjoy the video?